the first to know in Nsem-Pii TV.
For Chief Justice get to talk no, you need to say and the Supreme Court echo asetena ewo eye petition or the crocodile Supreme Court say a 5-member committee na just say etina asem no so no ebeya wonom enhote wonom process ena etoso biu eye Justice Gabriel Scott poor man ene Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu ebeya anka wonyi wom emfiri mu from participating in the hearings no citing say eye impartiality bi ewo eye baby a say etichma na ene ewo ekosi sanjumadi so na chese obi eye na na musini okopie mu o Supreme Court obi aba ena chese o de feedback ni nyina aba na we de abusafo eye from head to toe eye de course so from an opana Chief Justice get to talk no ene ni lawyers Godfred ye bo adame ene ono angasa so hu kani ebe pie mu Supreme Court ho no na chese in fact opanyini ede no credit ni ensema course bia ato apono so ene ensema what can be ene say former Attorney General Godfred ye bo adame ene wagina dipa na yenye so ni twa say no rulings am de ba abont ene verdict no was unanimous. It was 5-0 and obi be ka say dey wodo asem ko Supreme Court and as a court bia wa Ghana ha aye hu because John Dramani Mahama Nkrofo nko a ena chese ate se wo oman court emu ha na ene Godfred ye bo adame pa ye se dey wan ma kulundi nom ehu aje wo mo ne eye the acting Chief Justice eye Paul Bafubani enye asem ketwa any justice poor man ye say ne questions upon questions na eno na chi omoji breaks for about 5 minutes and san omutimi de sa omo 5-0 verdict no eba abonten ene yentie obi eye the correspondent okopie mu eye Supreme Court no asem ode aba abeto abonten.
So second objection so Justice side the Deputy Attorney General Erezi you know I had to do say we share some of the arguments the Chief Justice are making in the affidavit, supplementary affidavit or deposit now. It goes to review in a course article 146 committee no and in his opinion article breaching the confidentiality rules of the entire process. And only the state argument is that social article 146 a choices on your na say kukum and you say won semba bontin as a Chief Justice no e be say of faculty kwan so na back door no this an sem no ba bontin and the entire supplementary affidavit no yentungu and then that's what more time could be say proceedings you know say Chief Justice say ya setting and look at proceedings no who be ana I don't really the jechum case say the interpretation of the judgment says once the committee is set up bibia fa go bia I can in this assembly baza high security zone or anything the Chief Justice is not it's not right for those information to be disclosed. And like Godfred I'm so sorry and also responded to some of those arguments. Just say even if the argument was that the things are supposed to be in camera and these matters have been reviewed in the affidavit, this is a matter or the about court because Chief Justice Afeni said there may be koswa e kotia Ghana mraso e minti wo ba court na say wako yi wako put information out oh baby a court and about the information we have a good judge for him to vindicate certain rights of hers and also to seek release from the court. And court no as Chief 5 minutes I could share the decision by they have considered the argument. They find merit in the argument made by the Attorney General and by a unanimous decision the entirety of the supplementary affidavit the Chief Justice a deposit to no almost striking out and Kasem no they say you call Asem
and Asem Nankasano will be hearing because mind you say all the arguments earlier with the two were arguments contained in the original writ or the core in the writ no and sign filing injunction it is the Asema court no dealing with the injunction application. Good. In the
injunction application no the heart of the matter is say Godfred say Justice Porman having served on a panel that had adjudicated a matter for which reason it is forming part of the petitions that the committee is currently investigating, it is very likely say command any fair on that process. Inti any justice command in this committee so. Ebi also justice at the boss said you know because he was on an earlier panel before he was appointed and also so and then all the other issues are already some of them in that supplementary affidavits which obviously had been struck out before he was making his argument. And then Justice I and so Erezi the objection to those arguments that have been canvassed by Godfred Yeboadami on the matters. Back and forth, Justice Korendi in particular at a key time asked a lot of questions from both lawyers, both sides. Justice Bafboni himself, acting Chief Justice, are now presiding over the panel, and so beside questions. Justice Umoru Tanko. In some questions, in fact, the bar that has been said for injunction application, that is the main crux of the argument of the state. Say court more application and granting injunction application now, especially when it relates to the performance of constitutional duties. You have to surmount some hurdles.
Yes.
If you are not able to make out that case, the court will not mind you. And that even the principles were restated in the recent case of Asafo vs. the judgment about Bontin and Siano. And also court will also urge is Ako dream Nsem-Pii. Both parties and they are told then they will come back for judgment. About 15-20 minutes time and then they came back say almost seminar argument and they said by 5-0 unanimous decision. The Chief Justice argument was meritless. Now the application for injunction has not been made. And you know it was clear say opinion they say the injunction application ought to be dismissed.
Okay.
And then they dismiss the application by unanimous decision. Almost say, and because he said 12 June. Yes. No full reason ruling, you know. On the injunction application. Even before they go into the substantive.
But a date for the substantive case.
They didn't set a date for that. If the parties follow their processes are hearing notices and other things will go out for some of those things. Chief Justice, in fact, Oba caught around 9:50 on Inukunu. They came in, they walked upstairs, they went to sit. Oba first, no, but the side that normally the Attorney General's people sit into the there were some matters are not court they dealing with. I'm dealing with we are sorry, you know. Anna. You are KTM on another court, you know. Any of Mobekasa, other lawyers, Kowasuman, and others also came as part of it, a legal team. Then they moved her to the other side. And then, so in the initial parts, not say, or the husband, Etin in Sabin Kuso, and a KTM on Etine in Sanifaso. Then later, another lawyer came to substitute KTM on, and a KTM on Echo and Chengakra. And now, saying now, Kosuna. Meaning say you cannot chumule wa fist. Okay. And because we presiding on so many cases, some of them the back and forth. Ebi ana wasira kakra was smile kakra no ni including nkomo kakra na waba se court to take cases or the na to national no lawyer for din nkomo kakra. In fact, some point while Dami was making his point, no friend lawyer back because at some point some of the comments from the bench, you know, I don't know if it startled her or something. So for be a cabinet and say it should pass on some information to the legal team, you know, and all that. And she was generally quiet, very calm, and she was quiet throughout, talking to the husband and the Kika Huago. She said, judgment in a buyer, I say, for unanimous decision. And Godfred, Deputy Attorney General, I call no Kakrasa and Kawani Bako Bonko. If you saw all the but she wasn't receptive to the approach. Actually, we've seen people downstairs. Omaka said this in a course, but we cannot independently verify that these were the exact words the Chief Justice who has been suspended used or not. And OPA bias and for yes, then the komo kakra, but wankasa or call straight nekunu security phobia kama no tena ne kamu anapua. Actually, the lawyer Godfred Damekasa will say this is really a surprising say but the view is that the entire application is flawed and that the expectation is that court will stand up for their former colleague on something on these matters, but Uncle Sinisa and then I ask Chief Justice, you know, if she truly believes that this process is flawed and she will not get justice, and you know, all resigning now, no, PSA, Chief Justice will fight this process to the very end when it comes to this matter. Also, Deputy AG Ankasa. They go see Supreme Court.
And what it means, they say, now the way is clear for the committee to proceed with more settings.
In fact, Deputy Attorney General argument or making a question to say, as a man for some frustrating process, no. This is even the fifth injunction application about court not dismissing, court to say higher Murphy. So you about 1,000 times. Some pay certain release. You let you so much but we cannot put a stop to anybody coming. But even the ruling that has come now, the expectation is a 5-member committee, Justice Command, Etisono, no recommendation. What about
president?
Yes.
Wow. Now, apart from Chief Justice suspended, any Nikunu, which other popular people did you see in the court?
In fact, on a Parliament call, last time who to say former Council of State member, and Mr. Samakuji too. But me for sure court to and so I don't know if there be a gallery, public gallery. I mean, who saw of what about me who Katie Hammond, former Minister for Trade and Industry. Ebaho MP, former MP for Dancers MP for Ota for Visit Kuasafua, and so Ebaho be. There were other persons. Information may getting said the family and relatives of the Chief Justice because they came to some of them were just sitting around here. So other NDC affiliated lawyers like Agbamava, lawyer Agbamava, he was also Eli Klim Agbamava, he was in court as well. But those were the main known faces. There were a lot of other lawyers who were there. In fact, there were, I think, Victoria Bath. And so no also say just be behind the lawyers of the GBA. And so yeah, those were the main people that I could see on this matter.
Wow. Kwekwa Sante, away from the court, no Parliament. So what's happening? Almost resume that.
A lot of things happen. For instance, the court says Mama announces the government is now going to introduce legislation guide the removal of judges in the future going forward, and so they are going to put those details into a legislation and then bring it to Parliament. Again, they are working on legislation now. They're breaking the monopoly of the Ghana School of Law. So now they will accredit the faculties to run a professional course. When you finish, you take the bar exam. If you get called, you'll be if you pass, then you get called to the bar. Then there will be 2 bar exams in the year, one perhaps in January, and then the next in July, and so that was also discussed. And Chief Speaker of Parliament also say, we are very disappointed in members of Parliament. Say, last Parliament will be say, Senator Adman Rollins, daughter of a Medra. Now, almost CCTV camera no money now. I'm going to pack on. No ma MP kono 1 week so nipa no fa na homo nipa na mai. Intend one say Parliament every 4 years na. Nyina catch and say nim onipa ko okasa asem no. In fact okasa even when the comments were made at the time na afenyo marking and I want to fit to okasa. Odane ne ho ehwe nipa no nto no say surprising say minority dey say nim onipa no na majority for so nyina e the other side hwe minority no. So but they will continue the investigation. I could say
CCTV camera
and capture the background. In fact, the proposition the majority side is making is say they have narrowed the list down to some backbenchers. They want all of them to be put before the privileges committee and then punished if they are not willing to give up. That is the majority leader. Majority leader. Backbenchers and the minority side now. Feel say and buy so more Speaker so say they've narrowed the thing down to 3 people. There were more say a former part of these 3 people. I'll say Omona but they will continue investigation. They also Speaker say the members of Parliament and say privileges above the Constitution of Ghana. This will be quiet or that's the investigation agency which strawberry and say only the said MP for arrest or investigation interrogation he will do so without any hindrance. MPs should be aware say Parliament they should come and do their job and they should not think that the privileges that are conferred on them as members of Parliament extend into all the things they go out there to go and do. And then so by spending much of the day in court, but I understand say the leadership also held the news conference to explain the agenda for this particular meeting, but there will be a lot of bills in this particular meeting, and they say that as soon as next week they expect the rules on the removal of the Chief Justice and other Superior Court judges to come, and then the one on the legal education, the legal education bill to also come.
Speaker so say LGBTQ.
Yes.
Anti-LGBTQ.
Also private members being so aside ababium.
Okay.
NC I got through processing yes now.
Are you ready for first reading?
First reading NC almost him saying that coming days, you know, they will present it again. Him say they were in team for Joe and other members in F Shepherd. Of course, there's a majority for reasons some challenge according to the firm economy. This is a matter. This is a bill that Parliament initially passed, and that's why the view said once the bill was passed and it was not signed, it expires with that Parliament. You know, he feels that maybe there must be certain judicial pronouncement on it, and that it will not be fair. The Parliament will go through a process to enact legislation. Now, I'm thinking that better say, "Oh, yeah, wait, man." So this is the same bill. Machine bill for say, some passing bill, they are raising those issues there, and we don't know whatever arguments they'll be making, and then maybe finally the bill on say we are dual citizen. With me, I remember of Parliament.
Sure.
The last Parliament, they could not finish it. They had just got into third reading because of the conflict over seat vacancy. And